A Farewell to Arms. Ernest Hemingway was born in 1899 in Illinois, USA, and became one of the most renowned writers and journalists of the 20th century American literature. During his youth, he served as an ambulance driver in World War I, an experience that profoundly influenced his masterpiece, A Farewell to Arms. Hemingway was famous for his concise, factual, and unembellished writing style. His works often revolve around war, love, death, human solitude, and the resilience of survival. His major works include A Farewell to Arms, The Old Man and the Sea, and The Sun Also Rises. In 1954, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, yet in his later years, he suffered from mental health issues and declining health. Ultimately, in 1961, he tragically took his own life. Despite this, Hemingway remains one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, and his works continue to move and inspire readers worldwide. 1917, the Italian front during World War I. A young American, Frederick Henry, was serving as an ambulance driver for the Italian army. He spent his days transporting wounded soldiers, while artillery shells exploded around him. Yet, despite the war raging around him, he felt detached from it. I am here, but this war is not mine. To him, the war was merely a vast and chaotic event, occurring beyond his control. He often drank with his comrades to forget about the war, and tried to maintain a light-hearted attitude despite the ever-present tension. But fate had no intention of letting him remain untouched. One day, Frederick met an English nurse, Catherine Barclay. She had once loved a man, but the war had taken him from her. She carried deep sorrow within her, already knowing how war could steal everything from a person. At first, Frederick saw their relationship as nothing more than a casual flirtation. "Do you believe in love?" Catherine asked. Frederick found himself unable to answer. To him, love had been a game, but Catherine had already experienced the brutal truth of life and love through war. Despite this, they slowly fell for each other. Frederick was drawn to her quiet, sadness, and Catherine found warmth in him and wanted to believe in love again. The war continued, and one day, Frederick was seriously wounded in a shell attack. He was transported to a hospital in Milan, where he was reunited with Catherine. This time, their relationship deepened beyond mere romance. When the war ends, can we be together? Will it ever end? If not, then can't we end it ourselves? They began to dream of a future together. But war does not allow for dreams. The front lines began to collapse. The Italian army was retreating under the assault of German and Austrian forces, and Frederick was swept up in the chaos, fleeing with the other ambulance drivers. However, in the confusion, he was wrongly accused of desertion. The retreating Italian army was executing supposed deserters and spies on the spot. Frederick barely managed to escape and fled to Venice, where he reunited with Catherine. Let's run away. Waiting for the war to end was no longer an option. Together, they boarded a small boat and escaped across the Alps to Switzerland. At last, they were safe. They left behind war, death, and everything else, determined to create a world of their own. Catherine was pregnant, and Frederick dreamed of a new life with her and their child. They spent their days free from war, embracing the peace they had longed for. The war has nothing to do with us now. Yes, we will start anew here. But fate was not yet finished with them. As Catherine's due date approached, she was admitted to the hospital. Frederick anxiously paced the hospital halls waiting for her. But the delivery was agonizingly difficult. "Frederick, I'll be okay, right?" She smiled weakly, but Frederick could not hide his fear. Then the doctor quietly approached him. "We could not save the baby." And soon Catherine too began to fade. "Frederick, I'm scared." Frederick held her hand tightly, but she slowly closed her eyes. He stood frozen in the hospital room. Everything was over. Frederick walked out of the hospital. Dawn was breaking. The sky was turning from dark gray to a pale blue. Rain was falling, quietly soaking his coat and hat. He took a step forward. But where was he supposed to go? A foreign city in Switzerland. The cold air, the silent morning. Catherine was gone. He had dreamed of a future with her, but that future no longer existed. Step by step, he walked. He had lost everything, yet he was still alive. "A farewell to arms," he whispered. But it was not just a farewell to war. It was a farewell to love, a farewell to hope, and a farewell to dreams. Yet he walked on, slowly but steadily. Like a soldier after the war alive, yet having lost everything. The rain continued to fall, and finally, his figure faded into the darkness. A Farewell to Arms is not just a war novel, it is a story about love that blooms amidst war, only to be mercilessly taken away by fate. Hemingway shows us how war scars people forever, and how fragile human existence is in the face of destiny. Frederick lost everything, but his love for Catherine remained eternal. And while war continued, so did love. A farewell to arms, and a farewell to love.